Hi, welcome back to Everyone Can Jam, where everyone can learn to play guitar. And please remember to like and subscribe. That will help me to be able to continue to do this work. Today I'm kind of teaching two lessons at once. One lesson is about a chord, and I'll explain why I'm calling it a gateway chord. And the other lesson is about the process of learning music, especially your role in your own process where you decide what to hang on to and what to let go of. This is really important because so many times as you take music lessons, you're going to get TMI, too much information. This happens a lot. It's kind of my pet peeve as a teacher or as an observer of other teachers, but I still find myself doing it. And especially since I can't be in the same room with you, I can't make the lesson exactly what you need. You're going to have to learn to choose what I'm going to challenge you. Starting today, choose one thing to hang on to and one thing to let go of. That is, if you're a beginner. If you've been playing a while, you might be able to hang on to this whole lesson. But I've noticed that often what trips us up is we want it so bad, we don't want to let anything slip by. And it's really important, especially as a beginner, just figure out how much you can retain from that lesson, let something go, and then come back and get the rest later. And I design my lessons so that this will work. And I will always tell you if there's something you must absolutely remember, and I'll let you know what you can let go of. So that's the challenge for today. Pick one thing to hold on to and pick one thing, at least one thing, to let go of. And that'll make it easier with other teachers to let go of the part that you really need to let go of right now. Come back and get it later. Okay, so about the gateway chords, A and D and E, I call them gateway chords. And I'm talking about the standard A shape that I'm going to assume you're familiar with, because you can learn these shapes all kinds of ways and places. The A shape, we play it different ways. Get where you can see it. This A shape, well, let me show you here on the PDF. This A shape. Okay, that's what we're focusing on today. And then the D shape down here and the E shape. These, I'm going to call them gateway chords, and you'll see why. We can learn special things about these chords, and then we can build on that knowledge to learn things that will really set you free to understand the relationships on the guitar and be more independent as a musician and a learner. So, okay. So there is a PDF that goes with this lesson, and it has a front and a back. And if you want to get the PDF, there'll be a link in the description underneath this video, and either sign up for my email list if you're not already on it, and if you are already on it, whenever I send out a newsletter, I'll send a link to the free instruction page to remind you how to get there. And if you've lost track of that link and you need the link right away, you can just put it in a comment or send me an email or something. So here's the front of the PDF. And it just has the A shape that we're talking about. This X is usually there to suggest you don't play the sixth string. And here's the name of the chord. And this says how to spell an A major chord. And then there's a dotted line where you're going to fold. So, okay, this is where I'm going to suggest. I want to make sure you know, even if you can't make the A shape sound good yet, just knowing this shape is going to be helpful to you in understanding the fretboard of the guitar. So don't worry if you can't play it yet, just know this shape, okay? And here's the thing to hang on to. These are the notes that are in an A major chord. If you have an A note, a C sharp, and an E, don't worry if you don't know anything else. Okay, you're learning it now, everything you need to know for this lesson. We call this spelling a chord. So this is the thing I want you to hang on to. If I say, how do you spell an A chord? you can say A, C sharp, and E. If that's the only thing you remember from this lesson, then that is huge. That's really good progress. So the main thing I want you to remember, if you hold on to one thing, is how do you spell an A chord? And does anyone remember? If you forget, you flip it over, A, C sharp, E. If you only remember that one thing, then you're making really important progress. But I know it's like all kinds of questions. When you learn something like that, there's all kinds of questions. So I am going to talk about the answers to the questions, but if this becomes overwhelming, please let go of everything else. So the one thing you got to hang on to is, how do you spell an A chord? You quiz yourself, you try to say the spelling, and then you flip it over, see if you can remember. Then flip it over and see if you're correct. A, C sharp, E. If you put this in your phone, like as a prompt, and once a day your prompt pops up and says, how do you spell an A chord? And you answer A, C sharp, E, then if you do that once a day for a week, I think you will have it memorized. And then hopefully in about a week, I'll post another lesson kind of like this about the D chord. And after a few weeks, you'll know how to spell A and D and E. And that is huge. It's really important basic knowledge. Now, for those of you who have inquiring minds, and it's like, but why? I know it seems random. And we're going to talk about why it's not random. And we're going to come back to this stuff. So, also in the back, now remember, I'm challenging you to let go of at least one thing. So or you can let go of 3 things if you want. You can let go of everything else if you want to. Back here I have an A major chord. Let me show you what that sounds like. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not important for you to know all those sharps right now. Not important at all. The important thing is that you recognize that that is a scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All the music you want to learn is based on this. So here's the scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. And we can also call the notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it just repeats. A, B, C. So that's why this is 8 and 1, because it keeps on going. I don't think I can sing that high, but I'll try. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D. I can't go any higher. But it keeps on going that way. It keeps on going that way, by the way. So let's go back to, this is the first note in the scale, second note in the scale, third note in the scale, fourth note in the scale, fifth note in the scale. When we're spelling a chord, we take the first note of that scale, the third note of that scale, and the fifth note of the scale. That is why when we talk about the notes in a chord, you might hear people talking about the 1 or the 3 or the 5. That's what that means. This is when we make an A chord. The A is the 1, the 3 is the third, the C sharp is the third, and the E is the 5th. Okay, so remember, if this is too much information for you, you got to let go. Remember the one thing, A chord is spelled A, C sharp, E, and you're good. And if you want to practice the theory so it becomes more familiar to you, I have theory lessons. They're called Music Language Basics, and they're on this YouTube channel also. And it does not have to be difficult. Those lessons are real easy. All you have to do is follow along and make connections, and it will help you a lot with your musical journey. Okay, so we have the scale, we have the first note, third note, fifth note, And that's how we spelled an A major chord, with the first note, the third note, and the fifth note. Now, for some of you, it might be time to let go. I don't want you feeling overwhelmed. Let's look a little closer at this. And you can notice where all these, that's the whole idea of the chord shapes. So when we make an A major chord, every note in that chord is either an A or a C sharp or an E. Actually the open E is part of the chord, but sometimes it doesn't sound good. It depends on what you're playing. So sometimes there's an X there. A is a good bass note because it's an A chord. So usually we keep this note in the bass. That's an E, and that's an A and a C sharp. So C, your E and your A and your C sharp, and then an E. Every note, when you make that shape, every note that you hear is either an A or a C sharp or an E. Okay? So remember, if you're new at this, let go of at least one thing. And actually get used to that feeling when it's like, that's when you need to let go. But if you can keep one thing, that's really good. And if you have a mentor or a teacher, that it's just so easy to do. When people have developed a lot musically, it's so easy to not realize that these things are not easy. And many teachers learned these things when they were very young, and after developing that much, these things become very easy. But when you're new at it, you need more processing time. Their processing speed is faster because they've been doing it for so many years. So what I'm saying is, when you're with somebody that's like giving you too much and it feels like drinking water from a fire hose, you can learn to help yourself in that situation by just saying, stop. I finally learned that, stop. And then, the person waits and like, okay, I'm thinking about the thing they just said. I just need to process it, get it hooked on to what I already know. And then I'm like, okay, go. And that actually helps your teacher a lot if you often feel like you're getting too much information. So remember, you can get the PDF. It's labeled front and back. I printed mine on, you're going to have to figure out how to print. You'll get 2 pages, a front and a back. You could just print both pages and just slap them together. Did I hold them up right? You could just print both pages and slap them together, but you can kind of see through and cheat when you're quizzing yourself. So you might want to print it on cardstock. But if you'd like the PDF, make sure you're on my mailing list. And if you're already on my mailing list, just get in touch with me and I can send you the link to the free instruction page. Or you might get it in a newsletter soon. Let's see, what else? My website's in the description under this video, and please remember to like and subscribe. Those things will help me to be able to do more of this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.